extremely important, but often ignored. I'd say a lot of retailers do pay lip service to the idea of empowering the workforce, but these are the same people that then ask their store staff to defer their bio breaks or their bathroom breaks. So just culturally, I find it extremely interesting that there's this idea that we will somehow expect Cadillac performance from a Kia engine, but are unwilling or unable somehow to upgrade our investments in letting the people on our front lines be successful, because we're out there making the promise, and the frontline store associates and store managers need to deliver on that promise, and therefore the investments in tools, training, and incentives are critical to making sure that we don't have people on our front lines that are not truly empowered to keep up that promise. Just kind of curious if, I'll maybe even ask a direct question around, start your answers with whether, on a broad brush, have you seen, positive movement or enough positive movement on this aspect in retail over the last 2 years? And if not, if so, just some commentary on that. If not, what would you change? Rebecca, I'll go with you first.
I think I have seen some improvement. There's lots going on in this category with minimum wage going up, so from the government side of it, but also, really great concierge software, or, being able to use beacons and, buying into it so they know, when you're in the store, that you'd be interested in a sale. So I do think that there probably has been some movement here to the positive side. At the same time, I think that there's probably still a long way to go. On the technology component, I think it's great that, they want to equip sales associates with great technology. I do think, though, then you have to give, great training, and probably really just, value them more, both in training and probably in compensation, to get the kind of store experience that you want. And of course, it's so key to the experience in the store, and to, providing the best experience for your customer.
I wrote an article, it must be 3 or 4 years now, called The Knowledge Deficiency Gap, which is the amount of knowledge that sales associates lack versus the amount of knowledge that customers have coming into the stores. And, 3 years ago, the gap was tremendous. So customers would come in knowing more about the product, the company, and everything than the associates. It's one of the biggest issues I've written about. What I have seen, Gary, is that has improved a bit. And I think a lot of retailers, I think the shortage of a workforce that is facing us now and moving into the next few years is a big piece of that. But also, I think when we think about workforce empowerment, there's kind of 2 levels. The first level is, empowering associates with tools that allow them to do their job better, from a digital perspective. So in other words, training, product training, tools that you can give to them digitally that make them better at what they do. The second piece is digital technologies, or enabling technologies that allow associates to fully understand the technologies that customers are using. So I'll give you a great example. I like Gregory's Coffee in New York City. It's a fun place to go. I was buying coffee one day. I had the app. I couldn't figure out how to get my $5 reward and pay for everything. And it was great. The associate said to me, first she asked, may I see your phone? Of course. And she's like, you just push this, this, and this. And in 2 seconds, she solved my problem. She knew exactly what I had on my phone and was able to solve my problem. It was a win-win, because I felt a relief. Whew. She helped me out, and it really drove home that, associates that are empowered with the technology really can make a difference in that interaction with the customer.
Yeah, I think there's been a definite trend in improvement in recent years in this, but I think I agree with what sounds like we're all saying, that there's still room for improvement and still more to go. I think I can remember probably at least maybe the last 3 or more years, or every year it seems someone is going to declare that this is the year of the associate, where every retailer is going to invest in more training and more tools and more technology, and then everyone kind of stands by to see it happen, and maybe one or two brands do, but it's getting better for sure. I think, it's interesting. This is something I just talked about this a couple of weeks ago at another event where there's a retailer we worked with in the UK that Dixon's Car Phone that if you're familiar with them, they're like a mobile device retailer in the UK. And they recognized this a few years ago and thought that, one of the things they should do is equip their associates with some new technology. They wanted to give them tablets and give them some new software to help lead a customer through a purchase decision, which sounds like a fantastic idea, right? But of course, the one piece they forgot initially is that they kind of took for granted the idea that if I hand an associate an iPad or any other kind of tablet, they should already kind of know how to use that, because doesn't everyone know how to use an iPad these days? How hard can it be? But that lack of training was a problem. And then the other piece they forgot is that when you just give someone a mobile device to use, and even though you're in a store selling mobile devices, you have to actually worry about the wireless connection for that mobile device and how consistent and reliable it is. So that was another piece they initially, in some locations, had some issues with. And of course, what happens then, right? You have backlash from associates who feel like they've just been given a tool, but they haven't been given the ability to really leverage the tool. So it just increases the frustration for them instead of actually increasing their ability to serve a customer. So the net result was they had associates putting the iPads back behind the counter and not using them. Ultimately, right, corporate decided, they wanted associates to use this. They had done a lot of testing that said customers leave the store feeling much more satisfied with less buyer's remorse if they had followed the process from the app that was on this tablet. So they really wanted to fix all of these problems so that the associates could use it. And they had a target. They wanted to see a significant, something on the order of 40% increase in conversion going into the holiday shopping season in the year they deployed this. So this is one of the things where, that underlying infrastructure comes in. I mentioned earlier on how you really have to watch out for not just the new tool you want to give the associate, but what are the other back-end pieces that support that tool and enable success for the associate so they can use the new tool. And once those problems get resolved and are fixed, what happened for Dixon's, of course, all the associates loved the app. They were able to service more customers. Customers left feeling better about their purchase. And sure enough, when they looked back at the numbers after that holiday season, they hit the 40% increase they wanted in sales just from having deployed this new app for the associate that made them better equipped to serve customers.
Yeah, I think, Ricardo, you lay out a pretty compelling, use case or business case for Dixon's Car Phone to have kind of gone through that transformation. We also conducted some research looking at over about 125 retailers and brands globally, and we found the opportunity for retailers, brands to enable their frontline workforce to be in the order of about a 10% jump in both revenue and profit. That's about $110 million annually for about $1 billion retailer with an assumed, 10% profitability. So I think I'm happy to note that the three of you are much more positive on the improvement in retail as an industry, on focusing on its workforce, its frontline workforce. I'd agree. I mean, I'd say, yeah, I'm willing to lower my judgment from saying, hey, this is never going to happen, to say, okay, great, they're at least focusing on it. But if you look at people like Apt Electronics, 90-year-old retailer that has forever focused on its associates. To Shelley's point previously about arming sales associates with reducing that knowledge deficiency gap, they do some pretty simple stuff. They're an electronics retailer, single store out of Glenview, Illinois. And if you go to the store floor, their store associates have very basic but empowering information on, if you're looking at a television, yes, I have all the product features and I have the customer reviews and I have the competitive price matching, but guess what else I have? I have, how many in stock do I have on the store floor? How many in the back order? When is it that this could be in the customer's home? What is the margin on this product? If I sell it, what price? And how far am I from quota? So it's human behavior. It's saying, hey, if I sell this at X and I have the customer willing to buy today in here, where can I make a deal today? And if I close that, what will I get out of it? I mean, I see that as being immensely empowering. And this is a 80, 90-year-old retailer that's doing it. Costco is so well celebrated for their focus on the associate and higher wages and stock option programs and health benefits, paid earned leave. And we've somehow always defaulted to digital investment. You wouldn't look at an Apt or a Costco to call them a poster child of digital transformation, but you would look at them and say these are long sustaining, high functioning, high performing retailers that have focused on their associates and gone beyond arming them with tools and techniques, but it's a cultural focus. And I find maybe that to be the stretch for a lot of other retailers. So I hope the retailers are now beginning to focus on the digital aspects of enabling their workforce, but also look at it as a cultural challenge and run with it.